culture, entertainment, and the stories everyone's talking about. Get teed off, but never teed up! This is a TeedOff podcast.
With us here on TeedOff Sports, the podcast, we have LT from the Full Court Network. What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, awesome. Awesome to be on here, Steven. I really appreciate it. And love, I guess we're talking women's soccer, so I'm excited about it.
Right? Yeah. So, well, you actually mentioned that you are close to women's golf. I could go there because we have a golf podcast called Between the Shanks.
Oh, wow.
I dabble in that myself a little bit, so I could probably go there. But women's soccer, I might, other than knowing Mia Hamm and Brandy Chastain ripping off her jersey with, the sports bra thing. And what was that, like 99? That's about as much as I could.
That was awesome. That was monumental. But anyway, so yeah, I'm excited to be on here and talk probably the greatest game and the greatest time of year too. It's like Christmas for college basketball fans.
Yeah. So you being a part of the Full Court Network, and you guys do a great job covering a lot of places that other people don't cover, by the way. So I want to say that on the onset and appreciate that, because I'm a mid-major guy. That's just where I've gotten roots from. But you were there at the start, just like I know for myself covering High Point back in July and June. And now we're here. To me, things went in a flash this season. What's your favorite part, I guess, about just is it the NCAA tournament, or do you like really this week where you got kind of finished up of regular season, but also starting of conference tournaments?
Yeah. I'm a purist. So, I love it all. I think this is the time where, this is where 3-4 days, unless you're the Sun Belt tournament, where 7 days, which is the longest freaking tournament ever, the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I got to talk to Commissioner Gill about that one. 7 days. So like if you're the 11th through 15th or 16th or 12th or whatever it is, you got to win 7 games to go. You ain't making it.
Nah.
You ain't gonna have a team left. So I love this week because it's what you've done for me lately. And unfortunately for like teams like High Point, Miami of Ohio, there's a lot of teams in this thing where the pressure's on to continue, where as some of these teams like a Radford, no offense to Radford, or even Winthrop to a certain extent in the Big South, they got nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose, where, these teams that are 26-5, they're not getting an automatic bid. Shit, they might not get an automatic bid to the NIT.
Right.
So it's life or death and this is where, the time where, the mid-majors, a lot of coaches, this is it. Like, this is their audition for if they want to move and stuff like that. So I love these 2 weeks. I love that some tournaments do it the week before to get that spotlight on them. I think that's really smart. And they get that week off and they can handle the media and stuff like that. So I really kudos to the 7 or 8 conferences that are doing it this week, one being the Big South.
I'm headed to Johnson City to cover that Big South tournament. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. Awesome. I do want to know, though, you mentioned the Sun Belt, and a lot of these different leagues have their tournament set up, well, a number of different ways. I do like a ladder system, though, where I know you mentioned, like, if you're an 11 seed, you got to play 7 days or whatever it is to
whatever
get through.
It is.
But I don't mind that, because it puts some emphasis on the regular season, the conference season, of what you actually did. Whereas, quite frankly, I disagree with Sharika's setup in the Big South Conference, where honestly, other than the 8-9 seed having to play, the first game, everybody else has pretty much an equal shot. And I feel like that degrades what you've showcased throughout the conference ledger. So what are your thoughts on
Well, it's funny you bring that. And I think Sharika has done a great job with the Big South, first of all. We've had her on the show, so I got to give Sharika some love right there. And Mark Simpson is the man at the Big South, I might add. But, I look at the Ohio Valley Conference, and I'll answer your question, okay? But I look at and I'm going to answer it this way. I look at the Ohio Valley Conference. The 1 and 2 seeds have to play 2 games to win the tournament. So you're rewarded on the whole conference slate, right?
Right.
So I like that. I like that. And then the 3rd and 4 seeds have to play 3 games.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, everywhere is different, and it's interesting because, like, I mean, you look at the MAC, there's 12 plus teams, but only 8 teams make the conference. I've got an issue with that. I think that adds some whether there's buys and stuff like that. I think every team should make the conference tournament. I mean, as a former student athlete, the Division I level, I can't imagine like you play your whole conference season. Even if you don't win a freaking game in conference, you should be able to go to the like play in the conference tournament. So, yeah, it seems like every freaking tournament is different.
It is. Yeah.
That's what I don't understand.
Well, I'll pile on there and just say what validates your thought there of everybody making it in a Big South tournament that is ongoing as we record this. You had a 9 seed Gardner Webb who had only won one Division I game this year, and they beat Upstate for a second time to advance, where they'll now play High Point coming up on Friday at noon. So yeah, if they were just automatically pre-eliminated, that would have never been a thing. So yeah, to your point, I don't disagree with that. I do like the system where if you have been a top seed, you've won, all these games in the league, if you have more buys than everybody else, I also feel like it helps your conference, like the Big South, to put your best teams, giving them the best shot at making the big dance as opposed
because here's the thing also with that, in that regard, like if you have, let's say, a Gardner Webb now wins the tournament, okay, low probability, but shit, people love Cinderella stories.
That would be one.
I'm sorry, like everybody watches the Cinderella stories. You don't watch, like, the NCAA promotes St. Peter's. They promote Oakland, which I was there in the flesh, which was awesome. They promote the upsets, right? And it's the same thing kind of with the commentators. But I look at this. If High Point now doesn't get these buys, and let's say Radford gets in, they're going to be playing a playing game in Dayton. Yeah. Whereas if High Point gets in, they might have a 12 seed and a chance to beat a 5 seed, or they might be a 10 seed or 11, whatever it is. So that's the argument on that end, because conferences, especially the mid-major level, are trying to get the best seed possible because it's the best chance to advance.
Before we talk particulars on the Big South tournament, I know that you've been a great cover on High Point University. Me being, I admitted homer, big fan of Flynn, who just recently received an extension from the team to remain at High Point. I had a question, though. Do you think that this is a year where Mark Prosser will probably leave Winthrop?
I don't like to speculate on jobs. That's one thing we don't, but I will answer the question. So we're not ones to, because we have a Rolodex of coaches, and they trust us, and, we get really good interviews because of it too, and access. Here's the thing. There's definitely a separation. Okay. And I saw it firsthand when we met, and I spent that couple of days at High Point. There's a separation between High Point and everybody else in the Big South. Okay. Nito Kuban, the staff, the athletic, everybody. High Point is next level. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that because we're on. I flat out said to Flynn Clayman, I said, "You're an idiot to leave." I said that to him.
Right.
And then like 3 days after I talked to him the day before, the extension. So, the grass is not always greener. Okay. So that's the big thing. Winthrop's Winthrop's in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is right, just south of Charlotte. It's a nice area. But here's what's going to happen. There's not a lot of top tier jobs that are going to be open from what I'm seeing, that there's going to be some opportunities for Prosser this year more so than other, in my opinion. But like, where do you go? The Big South could be a totally different conference next year. I'm telling you right now, the MAC could be a different conference next year with coaches leaving, because there's a lot of mid-tier, jobs like a Pitt, Cincinnati, Kansas State's obviously open. There's going to be more in that, Georgia Tech, Syracuse realm. They're not the kind of the blue bloods. He might. It depends on what kind of NIL and funding they have. I know High Point is not getting any cheaper in NIL and funding and stuff like that. I mean,
right. So
yeah.
with the Big South tournament upcoming, as we already pre-mentioned there, Gardner Webb advances. So now you have this set up where everybody will play Friday and then
Yep.
Saturday, and you'll have champion on Sunday.
Yep.
Are you predicting any kind of significant surprises out of that, as most people would assume? I mean, it is High Point to really lose it.
Yep. No, I don't see any surprises. It should be High Point and Winthrop. And I would pick High Point. I think coach and the staff are pissed off that they lost to Winthrop that first game. I mean, they narrowly won the second game. But yeah, I think it's, neutral court, and anything can happen. And I think, there's going to be more pressure, but those are, he's got guys horses that have been there, done that. And as is he last year. And I think they're ready to roll.
So there's another team, and you mentioned them actually already, lingering out there, that I hate to even necessarily say they're on the same echelon of High Point because of the amount of success that they've had this year, being an undefeated team. And at this point, I think they're only one of, I can't remember if it's 7 or 5 that have ever advanced this far into the season without losing a game. And that's the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. I have been pushing for them to be in. As I said, mid-major, is well in my roots, formerly working with High Point's team. But a guy like Bruce Pearl is, coming from his venue.
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. I'm sorry.
Now, do you think, maybe the better question is, do you think that Bruce is just kind of spitting that to get some clicks, or do you think he really believes that they shouldn't be one of the 64 or 68 teams in?
If he believes that, then I'm sorry. It's funny. I was talking to Sam about that. I think Bruce Pearl is trying to get clicks for sure.
Yeah.
If he believes that, then I mean, he needs to worry about his own history. He wasn't an elite coach. I mean, he never really won anything. I mean, he was a good coach. And part of it, back in the back end, he's probably politicking for his kid because they're on the bubble. I don't know how Auburn's on the bubble. They shouldn't be. I mean, and that's the problem. The NCAA tournament has gone so far the other way, where it caters to the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the powers that be, those three, especially the Big Ten and the SEC. Okay. If they had a perfect world, they would want every team in the SEC and the Big Ten in the NCAA tournament.
I take it that you are probably with me not to expand the field.
I actually am for expansion.
Oh, wow. Okay. So please explain.
And here's the reason why. And I'm not going 4-8 teams. Okay. I'm going 92 to 96. And I'll tell you why. And Billy Donlin, who I've become pretty close to, the Clemson associate head coach. He was a head coach at Wright State, head coach at UMKC. And he explained it to me, and it makes sense. Okay. Every conference gets 2 bids. Think about this. So Big South, if you win your regular season conference league, you get a bid. If you win your conference tournament, you get a bid. Okay. If High Point wins both, then Big South, Sharika Montgomery and her staff, with the bylaws, get to decide who the second team is. So it would technically be Winthrop. Okay. All you'd have to do is add, I think, 3 more play-in sites. You would not have to expand the tournament any more dates. You would play. Listen, the one thing the NCAA does really well is run championships. I've seen as a player, I've seen as a coach, and I've seen as a media person, whatever you want to call me. Okay. So they do a phenomenal job of running championships. So, and hey, it's more money. And what does the NCAA NCAA organization love? Money.
Yeah.
So you add a Tuesday, Wednesday, you add it in sites like Greensboro. Okay. They've got the facilities. Dayton does a phenomenal job. Okay. I've covered games at Dayton. I mean, great. It's not the easiest to get in and out of, but it's 45 minutes an hour to Cincinnati Airport. Fine. Okay. But Tuesday, Wednesday, just do it like that. Okay. So And then if some conferences are weaker, let's call it what it is, then maybe they don't get 2 bids. But a conference like the MAC, shit, Miami of Ohio is in. I'm a purist. I'm a mid-major guy. I played mid-major sports.
Right.
So I coached at the whatever DePaul is, Power 5, Power 4. I mean, they're only going to get 3 bids in the Big East this year potentially. So I say expand it, because here's the thing. If you expand it by 4, it favors the Power 4 or Power 3, okay? If you expand it by more than that, now it helps the mid-majors.
LT from Full Court Network with us here. I don't disagree with that. My fear is that they will only expand it just enough to essentially be a mid to low amount of teams from these Power 5 league getting in, and then Auburn wouldn't be a bubble; it'd be an automatic where they're sitting at 500.
So if they expand by 4, potentially a mid-major would get one of those bids. I mean, there's the statistics out there. I don't know what it is. It's like, for every 4 teams you add, every 4 to 8 teams you add, one would potentially go to a mid-major program.
Yeah, I do like the idea of a regular season champion, getting something from that. And the NIT used to be that, but that's not even a guarantee anymore. Although for my High Point Panthers, I'm happy to I'm happy to say they've already said, hey, irregardless of what happens from here forward, High Point gets a bid. Back to just college basketball in general, though, we're also seated in North Carolina in ACC country, and I know you, not long ago when we met, you had made a trip to the state to take in a few different games, one of those being NC State and Will Wade. I feel like they're a great anomaly right now to look at, and I'm really intrigued to get your thoughts because I think that you have a decent relationship with Coach Wade.
He texts me back when I text him, so I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's a plus. So I just know I feel like Will Wade is locked in right now, a roster setup that probably has to be keeping him up at night. The only way that he's going to get them to play or succeed the way I feel like a Will Wade team wants to play is to hypnotize these dudes. It's very NBA basketball. It's kind of, stay away from the fundamentals, go out and do freewheeling stuff that you want. And I just don't think that's going to let them beat good teams. I mean, they'll beat teams, but not really good ones. Do you feel like that's a fair synopsis?